So today we have Casey and Michelle Hickok with us.
I'm Casey Hickok. I'm a full-time firefighter. I'm a business owner and a community activist.
And I'm Michelle Hickok. I have the joy of being married to this guy, also owner of Zelma's, our small business. We have a 5-year-old daughter together, and I'm involved in multiple roles in the community to support it as well.
Can you tell us a little bit about your business, Zelma's?
I've had it now for 6 years. We purchased it from some previous owners who had, built it up to what it is for well over a decade. A lot of people knew Zelma's for being the trophy shop, and I wanted to, like I said, to kind of change that definition of Zelma's being the trophy shop to being, the community's resource for, solving creative problems. We work with all sorts of clientele, individuals, groups, businesses, and events, and helping bring their creative ideas to life.
You talked a little bit about how when COVID came, you had to pivot with your business. You started making masks. Can you just tell me a little bit about that process and what that was like?
It was a needed shift that I wanted to make with the business, albeit, like I said, forced because of the pandemic. But like I said, it was a good opportunity to present to people and let people know that, hey, we're more than just the trophy shop, because obviously we weren't going to be making a bunch of those right now. With the masks and the mask clips and all these other things that we knew people who especially were already identified as essential workers were things that they were going to need to be able to do the work that they do and do it safely. It's like, okay, well, we can do that and offer an option that not only is comfortable, it's scalable, whether it's just one person that needs it for themselves and their child, or if it's, for an entire company, we could do that and make it custom suit to them. In doing that, not only were we able to, keep the lights on and keep things going here at Zelma's, but we more or less made ourselves essential as well.
Were you impacted by the COVID-19 virus? And if so, could you talk a little bit about that?
That one, actually, there was a lot of little aspects to it. One, our daughter, she was a year old at that time. When we were doing all these events, we would always take her with us to a lot of these things. Not knowing much about the pandemic and how it's going to affect, generations of people, I think the two of us knew that we were going to be just fine if we ended up getting the virus, just because of our health and everything else that we do. We didn't want to bring anything back to our daughter. Then we could throw that onto my parents, which were then, they were impacted through cancer at the time, or at least my dad. So it was tough because they didn't want us to come around at all, just because of our impact still with my service. As far as being a full-time firefighter, there was a lot of just what ifs that weren't answered yet, where it kind of changed our aspect or culture of our family, because we're very much family first as much as it is community first. So when we weren't all getting together, having our weekly meals or even monthly meals, that definitely started to weigh on us for a while.
What was your greatest challenge during the pandemic?
My greatest challenge during the pandemic, I would say, was that first couple of weeks when everything just came to a screeching halt. Because with having the business there, for a little over a year at that point, we had a pretty good pulse on like how things were going to run, and felt pretty confident about like, okay, we're planning for this and it's going to be bonkers. And then all of a sudden it wasn't, especially with springtime coming up. A lot of what our business does is very much event-based. It was a weird dynamic because with him being a fireman, his work just got busier. And then me, it was just like, you have to stop.
And at least in my life, having the job security as far as being a full-time firefighter here with the city, I knew I had a job no matter what. So that part, I think, alleviated some of the risk. At the same time, it highlighted some of the needs that we had in our life, which was more or less the ability to say essential. It was really an odd label when you're labeled an essential business versus a non-essential business. And how do you do that when your entire job and how you're focusing your family's future is just based upon events?
Did the community come together, all the small business owners during the pandemic?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
From us supporting, really the first responders was the first bit, and then once that 2-week mark hit and we kind of knew what was expected amongst other businesses, all of us just kind of by word of mouth started working together and supporting each other in a local format. And I think that really kind of pushed us all forward as a community, and keeping local serving locals.
Well, and that's part of the magic of this community too. And a lot of folks that live here intentionally choose to serve and support locally first. And collectively, we got pretty creative. It's like, okay, how do we make sure our small restaurants stay open? How do we make sure that a lot of our small businesses that being labeled as non-essential, how do we make sure that we can still patronize and support them and help keep the lights on? We're not going to let those fail because of the pandemic.
Are there any stories that come to your mind about your experience during COVID?
Part of our plan when we had purchased this business from the previous owners is the space it was in. It was okay, but we immediately felt like we were crammed in a sardine can, like it was very small. And so we had a friend who's a realtor. We kind of told her our wish list, and we're like, it's not necessarily a hurry. We just want to find the right space. 2 months after, we've entered into this pandemic, got a text from her. Hey, so I think I found that space. Do you want to come check it out? And it's the space that we're in now. If it was a normal year, we wouldn't have had any time or capacity to look at it. But because of the nature of the sale of this space and what it was, we were able to jump on it, make a cash offer, close escrow in 14 days. We took that summer to transform this space into what we had in our mind for what we wanted Zelma's to become.
Wow. So what made that difference for you guys? Because other businesses unfortunately closed during the pandemic. Why do you think that you guys were able to pivot like that?
I would say failure wasn't an option.
Yeah.
I mean, at the worst case scenario, what do? You start over. And with our skills and kind of our lifestyle, we know we could do anything. We just have to put our heads down and do it. So in order to stay with this whole, like, hey, we already invested so much into it, let's just keep going. I think that was a big motivational aspect to our success, and just this community. We couldn't have done it without any of them. It's just it's local serving locals, I think, is our big thing. And the community sticks by that saying. Even though we're a small town, we do great things here. And I think that's one of the biggest benefits of this town.
It's a very unique story compared to other towns, I think. Yeah, the way that you guys were able to come together, have a positive mindset too, that even though this is really hard, we're gonna get through it. And then lean on community support is really amazing. Are there any lessons that you learned from the COVID pandemic that have stuck with you?
From a business owner's perspective, offering multiple ways for people to get in touch with you, being flexible and being able to adapt to whatever the situation presents. I think the way in which you communicate in doing that business, I think that's a huge game changer and can make or break a lot of the success that you have in business in the way that you communicate with your customers, your clients.
There's kind of a fun little saying that Michelle says all the time. It's, you get to pick and choose which 18 hours of the day you want to work. So, I mean, that's one of our greatest valuable assets is time. And if we can make that available for anyone, then you're going to succeed no matter what. And that's where that communication kind of comes in. And again, that was one of those things that COVID kind of gave us that perspective of.
Yeah.
Is that enjoying the moment, that time that we had together, and then just trying to how to redefine that back to making sure that we're in our histories, our traditions, and that love of family, and being able to support each other in that unconditional sort of way. And I think that's kind of going right back to this community. Our ability to survive the pandemic, be successful, and support others all at the same exact time. So it was a learning moment for me where I just remember, like, hey, our family means absolutely everything. It doesn't matter if we have a business or not, as long as we actually have time to spend with them. So I mean, that's all we got.